Hello, everybody. How are you? When you're here, say hi and let me know that you can hear me okay. So I am actually away this week. It was, for those of you who don't know, it was my birthday on, I'm forgetting the days of the week now. It was my birthday on Friday, and my husband took me to Emerald Isle, North Carolina. So I'm down here in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, and yeah, so the internet at our house, the internet at the beach house where we're staying is like super terrible. So I'm here at a coffee house. So let me know that you can hear me okay, since I am somewhere else on different internet that I'm not used to. So when you're here, say hi. But I'm really, really excited to be here with you today. Because this is one of my favorite topics in the world, right? Who doesn't like to learn how to get more clients and how to keep clients coming? So when you're here, say good morning. Happy Wednesday, guys. Can you believe it is September 2nd? Tell me, I would love to know while we're waiting for people to kind of join and say hi, what is a goal that you have for September? Hello, can you hear me? I just see Facebook user. Can you hear me okay? Facebook user, can you hear me okay? What is a goal that you have for September? I would absolutely I'm so excited that it's like a new month and I'm here to help you reach all your new goals. So let me know what one of your new goals is. Oh, Patty. Hi, it's Patty. Patty, can you hear me okay? So I'm in a coffee house in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, because the internet in our beach house is terrible. It's like non-existent. So, but I'm really glad that you're here. I tried to get the seat with the lighting so that I wasn't in a dark corner. But I am so excited. So guys, tell me, what is a goal of yours for September? I really want to know how many have a goal to get more clients. So like the name of this live stream is you can't have a business if no one's paying you, right? Let's just be honest. You can't have a business if no one's paying you. You can have an idea for a business and you can just be starting a business, but you don't actually have a business if no one is paying you money, meaning you need clients. And in fact, technically, like the legal definition, right, of a business is that it's generating a profit. So you have to generate a profit, not only make money, right? So any way you turn it, any way you spin it, you have to be making money in order to have a business, meaning you need clients, you need sales, you need customers. So I am curious, for the month of September, how many of you have a goal to get more clients in your business? Say yes or no. Like say that you want more clients, you want more sales, you want more customers, if that's a goal. Because today's Facebook Live is about doing that. How to get clients and keep them flowing in to your business, right? So that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about today. And it's one of my favorite topics because what we're talking about is something that so many people resist. So many entrepreneurs resist doing this. And yet if you do it, it is the thing that will catapult your business the most. And yet every entrepreneur that comes to me is like totally fighting and totally resisting this over and over and over and over again. So I want more clients. So is that Patty? Yes. I love that. Like that's a goal, right? Like set that, be intentional. And in fact, I would love to see you set that in a really intentional way, which is like how many clients do you want? Like how many clients do you want to have in the month of September? So guys, let me know if it gets a little too loud here because I'm at a coffee shop. So okay. So one of the things that you can really do to get more clients is to own your point of view. But when I talk about your point of view, I don't mean your point of view in life in general, although that can be helpful, right, to showcase your values and the values of your business, and what your business believes in and what your business doesn't believe in. But more importantly, right, I want you to own your point of view in your industry. But so many entrepreneurs are scared to share their point of view in their industry because they don't want to alienate any potential clients, right? So how many of you feel like that? Like you're very careful about what you say in your marketing. You're very careful about what you say when you're talking to people because you don't want to alienate people. Like you want all the potential clients, right? You want to be able to work with almost everybody because you can help everybody. And so you speak in like this way of trying to reach everyone, right? So let's say that you help business owners, right? You're trying to talk to all business owners. You're trying to talk to retail business owners and service business owners and medium-sized companies and small-sized companies. Or let's say that you work with singles, like I used to as a dating coach, right? You're trying to talk to all singles, men, women, divorced, widowed, never married, right? Let's say that you, like I know Patty helps podcasters, right? Or business, like, or really entrepreneurs. But are you talking to like entrepreneurs with a podcast? Are you talking to coaching or consultants? Are you talking to health coaches, fitness coaches? Are you talking to people who have an impact? Are you so knowing who you talk to will allow you to understand the point of view that you really need to embrace when it comes to what you do, right? But before I get into the details of like a real tangible way to do that, right? It's important to know that like the reason that you're scared of doing this is because you don't want to alienate potential clients, because you feel like you need to resonate with all potential clients. But when you're trying to resonate with all potential clients, guess what happens? Like you resonate with nobody because you're speaking so generically that no one is going to feel this emotional connection to you and your business, and they're not going to feel like, I have to work with her. Like, I have to know her and I have to work with her. So when I talk about sharing a point of view in your industry, I'm wondering, and how many of you are out there now, and how many of what is a very hard line stance, a point of view that you have when it comes to what you do, when it comes to the thing that you do? So I'm going to give you an example. I worked with a health coach who believes that you are not eating healthy if, like, I think it's 80% of your foods aren't alkaline based. If 80% of your foods are not alkaline based, she will tell you you're not eating healthy. She will tell you straight out that if you're drinking water without alkaline in it, you're not drinking healthy water, right? That's her point of view in her industry. I worked with a wealth advisor who actually kind of had the same philosophy as Larry Winget. I don't know how many of you guys know Larry Winget, but Larry Winget's philosophy when it comes to money is that you're broke because you want to be broke, right? Like it's something that you've done to yourself, not a thing that's happened to you. That's a definite line in the sand point of view, right? As a dating coach, right? Dating coaches have so many different points of view. Some believe a woman should never initiate conversations. Some believe that a man should always pay for the date. Some, right? Stating those opinions, those kind of lines in the sand, this is what I believe to be true in my industry, is so important. And so many people are scared to do it because, again, well, what if that person doesn't believe that? Or what if that's the reason that person won't hire me? So I'm just not going to say anything and I'm going to toe the line and try to just appease everybody. How many of you feel like that? How many of you are open with your points of view in your industry? What is a point of view in your industry? I would really, really love to know what a point of view is. If you're watching this on replay, go ahead and share a point of view too, right? So Patty, when it comes to, because I know you help podcasters. I know that you help a lot of entrepreneurs who have a podcast as part of their business. What's something that you really believe to be true? What is an opinion that you believe will make or break the success of someone like that? Like, I would love to know, right? So feel free to like share your point of views, right? But like I said, and I'm going to give you like tangible tips about how you can do this, right? But when you're trying to resonate with everybody, you're going to resonate with absolutely nobody because you're speaking so generically that no one feels an emotional connection to you. And I'm going to give you a personal example. So when I started my business, so as many of you know, some of you don't know me, I was a business attorney for about 13 years, 14 years. Too long. I was a business attorney for too long. And I left the law. Random story. I'm not going to share the story for those of you who don't know it. I'm not going to share it now. To become a dating coach. And I grew that business really quickly. And that's how I started advising women on how to start and grow a business, which I've been doing for 6 years. But when I was a dating coach at first, right, when I started, because I quit my job very unexpectedly. And I came home and told my husband that I was a dating coach now. He was like, cool, you've got like 3 months to make that work and make some money. Otherwise, you got to go back to the law while you do it. And I knew I was never going to go back to the law ever again. And so I threw myself into it. But in my head, right, I wanted all of the clients, right? I needed clients. Like in my head, it was like, you know, there were a couple of things going on. Number one, I could help all people, like all singles, right? I was a dating coach and I technically could help all singles. I could help you if you were a man. I could help you if you were a woman. I could help you if you've been married or not married, or if you've been widowed, or if you were online dating or offline dating or whatever. I could technically help you, right, in any of those situations. The problem is I could not effectively network or market to everybody, right? Because like networking time is limited. A marketing budget is absolutely limited, right? And so you can't just be out there trying to market and network with everybody. So many people are resistant to like narrow down, right, or narrow their audience or their target market because they can't help everybody. They're like, I help people. I help people do this thing. I help business owners do this thing. And you might be able to help all business owners do that thing. I'm not saying that you can't. And you might be able to help all people do that thing. I'm not saying that you can't. But what you can't do, and I will promise this is a point of view of mine, right? Like 100% what you can't do is market effectively to everybody or network effectively with everyone. So if you're going to be smart and efficient, right? If you're going to like be that 6-figure plus CEO of your own business, you have to make some decisions. You have to make some choices. And that means, right, you have to like narrow down who you're serving. So Patty says, I couldn't understand what you were asking me. Could you repeat what you were asking? So Patty, what is like an opinion, a point of view in your industry? So you help people, you help entrepreneurs who have podcasts, right? So you help entrepreneurs who have podcasts to build an audience and community around their podcast. That means you have to have opinions about what makes a good podcast, what builds an audience, right? You have to have like things that will differentiate you from other people who do what you do. What are some of the things that you believe to be true? Like, I believe you must narrow your target market in order to be efficient in your marketing. If you do not narrow your target market, you will not be efficient. Like, that's not it. I can't base that in fact. I can back it up with some data. I can back it up with some examples, but that's not a scientific fact, right? You can prove that either way. But that's what I believe. That's my point of view. That's what I hold to be true. So for you, Patty, what is something that you hold to be true when it comes to what you do? What is something that you absolutely believe, like, this is the only way that you can successfully build an audience around your podcast, or you must do this, or this is so something like that, right? I would love to know. So back to like Rita trying to help everybody, right? So I was trying to help all of the people do all of the singles do all of the things. And I was really like, and the reason why, I'm just going to side note this, the reason why you can't like effectively network or market with all singles, because you think singles is narrow, right? A narrow market. Shocker, singles aren't all the same, right? All single people aren't all the same. And so I had to narrow it even more, but I didn't know that. I was like, singles is a narrow enough target market. I help people date. Who doesn't want to help with dating, right? So as I was out talking to people and as I was out like networking and marketing, people kept saying, and I don't know how many of you have heard this before, oh, what you do is so interesting. What you do is so important. Like, what you do is so helpful. Yet nobody was hiring me for it and nobody was paying me for it, right? Patty says, I believe podcasters need to know their ideal audience and what they want to hear. I love that, Patty. So like a point of view that you have is your podcast needs to be about your audience to be successful as a business owner, right? And not about you. Like, your podcast has to be created for your audience, right? Whereas maybe someone who's not doing it to grow a business or to try to get clients or, to try to do anything in that kind of industry could have a podcast that's really for them, right? My friend Mike Ganino, who is a public speaking coach, says 3 things about public speaking. He says there are 3 types of speaking. You speak to build your business, right? So you speak to get clients. You speak to get paid, or you speak, free. So you speak for free, which is getting clients. You speak for pay for a fee. So you speak for free, you speak for a fee, or you speak for me, right? Like, I can go speaking for me just to feel good and like to do something that's important to me. And so Patty's point of view is that if you are an entrepreneur who has a podcast, right, your podcast must be created around your audience, not like as a feel good for you. That's a point of view. So thank you, Patty. Thank you for sharing that. So everybody I want to know how many hear this, because I know you guys hear this because you're telling me this all the time. People are always like, God, I love what you do. What you do is so important. What you do is so helpful. And you're like, but nobody's paying me and nobody's hiring me and nobody's giving me money to do this thing. Now, there are all kinds of reasons for that. You guys know I go into like the whole customer journey and the whole thing around marketing, all of it, right? But what we're talking about today is the number one thing that is probably keeping you from this, which is this idea of knowing who exactly you're speaking to, right, at any given time. So that's what people were saying to me, like, Rita, this is so cool. The reason that none of them were hiring me is because nobody felt any urgency, because it wasn't like I was inside their head and talking to them, right? It was like, oh, that's nice, right? If I said, hey, I can help you have more fun dating. Hey, I can help you find love. Hey, I can help you. They're like, that's cool. That sounds good. When I'm ready for that, I'll call you, right? And that's because I was just trying to speak so generically to capture all singles at any point of their life, at any age, at any stage of being single, right? So the only way that I could reach all of them was by pulling that lens back so far that I had to speak super generically to try to capture them all. And so what happened is I could help everybody. I could technically help all singles. But the actuality was I was helping nobody, right? Like a big fat zero, because nobody was hiring me. How many of you have felt like that before? I want to know, Patty, have you felt like that? I see a couple of people jumped in. I can't tell who you are because I use StreamYard and it doesn't let me see who you are. But I would love to know, no matter what, like, have you ever felt like that before, where people are like, oh, what you do is so cool. What you do is great. Like, that sounds neat. Like, I think that could help. And then no one pulls the trigger and hires you. And you're left frustrated. You don't know why. So that's what was happening to me, right? But the minute that I allowed myself to like accept the fact that I was going to have to alienate a lot of people in order to resonate with people to get them to hire me is when my business changed. And so that's what we're talking about today, right? Like, how do you do that? And why do you do it? And so when you decide to alienate people, what it allows you to do is focus your marketing in a very specific way to a specific audience. And what it does is it creates that connection that makes them go, I have to have her. She's the one that I have to work with. Oh my gosh, Patty said, yes, I hear this. Yes, I hear this. Right? Like, I hear it all the time. Right? And it feels so frustrating because you're like, I don't get it. If everybody loves what I'm doing, why are they just throwing money in my face, right? Well, people aren't going to just throw money in your face unless you're connecting with them, like on a really deep level. So I thought, okay, I can't work with all singles. So I'm going to narrow that market even more. And I said, I'll help women in their 40s, right? Again, big spoiler alert, women in their 40s aren't all the same. Right? So there was a difference if you're in your 40s and you're a woman and you've never been married and you're dating versus like a woman in her 40s who is divorced and was starting to date for the first time, right, since the divorce. Like, very different ways of thinking about dating, very different challenges. Right? The woman, I can tell you, I remember this very well. The woman in her 40s who is never married is like, why should I settle? It's not my fault. There are no good guys out there. Why are there no good guys out there? I need to speed this up because I need to get married and I need to have a baby and like blah, 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 right? The 40-year-old who was dating for the first time since her divorce was like, I want to take my time. I don't want to make the same mistakes. Also, I don't really understand online dating. Like, that wasn't a thing. How do I navigate that? Whereas like the 40-year-old never married has used every dating tool that there is. Like, the minute it came out, she doesn't need help navigating online dating, but she does need help maybe like tightening up her profile or something. So like, when I could pick who I was talking to, I could give specific examples. I could give specific stories. I could use specific language. I could speak to that person that made them feel like, oh my gosh, Rita understands exactly what I'm going through, right? So I started working with, or marketing to, or networking with, right, the women who had been divorced and were dating for the first time since their marriage, so that I could say, I get it. Like, you don't want to make the same mistake again. I get it. Online dating is overwhelming and you don't even know how to use it and you don't even know that you have time for it. And you really want to make sure that you're picking, for the right reasons. And that 40-year-old never married girl is like, whatever, I don't need any of that, right? But the minute that I did that and I alienated a potential like huge portion of business is when I got all the business, right? That's where, so in the story, right, it's like, then I surpassed my attorney salary in 3 months of my business. I'm like, that's true, right? I did. And it was because I did that, right? It's because I allowed myself to alienate people. And so that's what I want you to really sit with and think about, because what happens is the number of clients that you get will increase. The effectiveness in serving them will get better because you'll know what offerings to give them that really take them from point A to point B. Because now, again, in my example, the divorced woman in her 40s, she was at a very different point as her point A than a 40-year-old never married. And where they wanted to end up was a different place, even though technically, if you pull the lens back, what they both wanted was help dating. Does that make sense? Are you guys seeing this? So I'm going to share a story about my client. She's an older client. I had her a couple of years ago. Her name is Becky, and she was a health coach. So how many health coaches do we have out there? I mean, there are a good number of health coaches. But here's the thing, like, you're all so different, right? You all have like a different way of thinking about health, and you all have a different process, and you all have a different philosophy. Yet so many health coaches aren't sharing that in their marketing, right? Because again, they're scared to alienate people. And so how many of you love your elevator speech? Do you love it? Yes or no? Like when you stand up at a networking meeting, do you just like get so excited that you get to give your 30-second elevator pitch, or do you dread it, right? Becky dreaded it. And so Becky would get up, and I actually have her elevator speech written down. Becky would say, hey, I'm Becky. I'm a health coach. I help people take control of their health using a 7-step system. A healthy lifestyle is important for healthy relationships, for healthy business, and for healthy finances. It's the key to success in all areas. Let's unlock your secrets to perfect health today. That was her elevator speech. How many of you feel like you really understand what Becky did from that elevator speech? Yes or no? Yes, no, maybe so. Again, she's a health coach. She helps people take control of their health by using a 7-step system. She thinks it's important for good business, for good finance, for good relationships, and she wants you to unlock your secrets to perfect health. How many of you could say that you really know, that you really truly know what Becky does? Yes or no? And if you're watching on replay, go ahead and say yes or no as well in there, right? Well, she was frustrated because she was going to all of this networking. She was doing all of these things, and she just was getting that same thing that I told you about, that brick wall of like, oh, that sounds interesting, but nobody was pursuing more information. Nobody was hiring her, right? She had not signed a client, not one client, since starting her business. So Patty says, no, like, I don't understand what she does from that elevator pitch, right? So she hired me to like say, what is blocking me? Like, what is keeping me from signing clients, from getting clients? And so I dug into everything like I do, right? Like, tell me about your marketing, and tell me about how you sign clients, and tell me about your content, and tell me your elevator pitch. And when she told me her elevator pitch, I was like, that is where we need to start. The first thing was she would stand up and say, I help people. Do you guys see that? I help people. People is pretty broad, right? That's a pretty broad market, right? Like that's a little generic in order to be able to really resonate. I mean, if singles was generic, people is double generic, right? So people is too broad of a market because it just does not emotionally connect with any individual, any one kind of person, right? It's just, side note, like here's another side note. When you say I help people, or I work with people, or I help business owners, or I work with business owners, it also stops people from referring people to you, because that's such a, like, they know so many business owners, they know so many people, that they can't think of any one person or one kind of business owner to refer to you. So you have to get really, really specific, right? So that was the first problem with her elevator speech. The second was there was no mention of a problem that she solved in her elevator speech. Remember, her elevator speech is, I'm a health coach. I help people take control of their health using my 7-step system. Here's why a healthy life is important, and health is the key to success in all areas, right? But there's no mention of the problem that she solves or the results that she brings her clients, just a mention of why a healthy lifestyle is important. Right? So that's all very generic, right? I mean, really think about that, right? I help people have a healthy life through using my 7-step system, because healthy life is important to having success in all areas of your life. Like, again, like Patty said, I don't know what she does from that elevator speech. You know, she does something in health, right? So Becky and I sat down and I said, this is where we're starting. We're going to start with this elevator speech, right? So as we worked together, we kind of realized that the majority of the clients that she wanted, right, to have, and the people who were attracted to her, the prospective clients, right, were women, and then they were mothers, and they were employed in corporate America. So we have women, we have moms, and we have corporate America. But the one she really, like, she had done a lot of pro bono work when she was doing her coaching certification and stuff. The people she really wanted to work with, she really truly wanted to work with, were women who just transitioned back into corporate America after like working from home, staying at home, being like a work at home, stay at home mom for many years. So they had their babies, they took maternity leave, they were gone for a long time, and they wanted to come back to corporate America, right? That's who she really loved. Even though, again, she could help everybody, right? That's who she loved working with. So I asked her more questions. I said, tell me about these particular women. Like, what do you do with them that's different than how you would work with somebody else? And she was like, look, the number one challenge that market has is that they don't have the time to be healthy, right? They had the time when they were stay at home. They had time when they were entrepreneurs who worked from home. When they were at home, they had time to exercise. They had time to prepare a meal while they were working from their desk upstairs or whatever, or playing with their kids. Like, they had the time, right? But now that they're going back to corporate America for the first time, they have a new routine, a new schedule. It's overwhelming to them. Their schedule, their time is overwhelming. They don't have the control that they used to have. The commute feels draining. They're tired. They have non-flexible office hours. They're working overtime because they're trying to prove themselves in a new job. And it feels like out of control, right? It feels really overwhelming. And I said, okay, cool. Like, that's a very specific problem or challenge to that market, to women who are back into the workforce after being a stay-at-home mom, right? Like that, this whole thing is overwhelming. Whereas somebody who graduated college and went to school and had never taken a break, like that commute is routine. Long hours. I mean, I remember as an attorney, that's half the reason I quit, right? Long hours were routine. All of that stuff was just like not a big deal. Whereas to this new mom, it's going to feel super overwhelming, or to the new worker back from maternity leave, it's going to feel overwhelming, right? So I said, well, what does this woman want? What does this woman specifically want? And she's like, she just wants to have more energy. She wants to look in the mirror and say she looks good. Like at the end of the day, that's what she wanted. So again, very different. That might be a very different result than another kind of person that she would work with. But that clarity, once we got that clarity, it helped her really hone in on the problems of the specific woman. And so it helped highlight stories and examples that she could share in her marketing and in her speaking and in her talks with people and in her networking to resonate more with that kind of woman, right? Because she was like, what is that woman? What are the challenges or the problems in her life? And a great way to do this, guys, is to put yourself in their shoes. Like pretend, I always have to like close my eyes. Pretend that you're them and you're sleeping and you wake up in the morning as them. Okay. And you open your eyes. Like, what is going on in their life? What is happening through their whole day? Where are they? How are they consuming content? Where are they listening to the content? Like, what's swirling around them? What's making them feel anxious? What's making them feel happy? What is their routine like? Who are they around? What is their environment around? Like, the more you get into their shoes, the more you're going to be able to do this, right? So Becky now knew she went from I help people to who she really wanted to help were these moms that were coming back to corporate America, re-entering the workforce, right, for the first time since being a stay-at-home mom for a while. So the problems, when I said get very specific about the problems that they're having, she said, well, they're juggling kids with a new job. They have limited time in the day because, commutes and overtime. But the reason that that's even more impactful on them is because they're new to their job and they haven't worked for a long time. So they feel like a little imposter-y and they feel like this need to like really prove themselves, maybe harder than someone who's just been working consistently, right, in the industry. And she's like, they used to be able to grocery shop and plan meals, and now they can't do it. Another problem that she listed was, negative reactions from male peers and negative reactions from like male bosses and coworkers whenever these women brought up anything having to do with being a mom, right? If they mentioned a kid or that they had, which because it was a new job and it was the first time back in the workforce, she felt like way more of a problem, a struggle to ask for anything she needed. Like, I need to go home and take care of my kid, or I need to do this thing. She was trying to prove, right, that she was the right hire, but she was really trying to prove it to herself too. That's something different than would happen with a woman who has been working for a while. Does this all make sense? Do you see how going narrow suddenly allows you to really see what you should be saying and doing to market to this particular person in a way that they're going to go, oh my gosh, it's like Becky's inside my head. It's like Becky knows exactly what I'm worried about at night. It's like Becky knows what I'm thinking. It's like Becky put a bug under my dining room table and she's listening to everything I say, and Becky just like knows my life, right? That's how you want your potential clients to feel. So I would love to know, how many of you feel like you have that level of specificity, that level of connection? Are you really talking to your target market, or are you talking over your target market, right? So remember, as a dating coach, when I was talking to all singles and I could help all singles find love and I could help all singles have fun, I was kind of like talking over them. Everybody was like, that's great, but that's not really urgent for me right now. But when I was talking to that woman who was trying to date for the first time since her divorce, saying, you don't get online dating. You sit there and look at the Match.com screen and you're like, this is terrible. I can't do this. I don't even know how to do it. You're like, I'm terrified to go on a date because what if I pick the wrong person again? My picker is bad. Right? Like, I had to alienate a lot of people that didn't feel like that in order to really resonate with this person who would be like, it's like Rita knows me. It's like Rita knows exactly what I'm struggling with. How many of you are actually speaking on that level to your audience? Yes or no? I would love to know. But do you see how specific the issues were that Becky was able to speak to when she really narrowed down her audience. And this becomes really important because people decide to do something. They decide to buy a service. They decide to buy a product. They decide to buy whatever with an emotion, and then they justify it with logic, right? So like nobody's like, wow, I'm gonna buy this $10,000 ticket to Hawaii because the plane is made from this and it's got this kind of carpet and there are these kinds of seats and blah blah blah. So I'm gonna go to Hawaii. They're like, I am burned the F out. I need to like get out of Dodge. I have to go somewhere. I'm gonna go to Hawaii. Oh, the only ticket is $10,000. Fine, because this plane is made of this, and this plane has this kind of carpet, and this plane has a guy that rubs my feet the whole way, or like whatever, right? So they're going to make the decision from an emotional-based place, but then they justify that decision with logic. And so you have to speak to them emotionally. And if you're speaking so generically, right, you're not resonating with anybody emotionally. And so after she did that, after she narrowed who she was speaking to, and she was able to like really form this true connection, here's like, I'm going to do, you know me, I'm like, side note, here's another side note. It's kind of like an hourglass, right? When you start your business, you're starting to help everybody because you're trying to figure out who you really do resonate with and who you really do like to help. Then you become like a specialist to that kind of person, right? When you do, then everybody wants you. So the minute that I really started speaking to that divorced woman in her 40s around dating, other people would come up to me. I'm not a woman, but could you help me? I'm not divorced, but I loved what you had to say about this. Like, I'm at this stage of my dating. Like, is that something you can help me with? So people who saw themselves in my stories and in my values and in my shares and in my marketing and in me, they came up to approach me. So it wasn't that my only client was a divorced woman in her 40s. It was that was who I was marketing to and networking to. That's who I was really speaking to because that's who I wanted to work with the most, right? And what if I could fill my whole business with the clients I want to work with the most, why wouldn't I? But by really narrowing down to them, I resonated in an emotional and powerful way with them, which made them want to hire me. And the more that happened, the more other people wanted to hire me. So they would come and seek me out, but I would not have to spend my marketing or networking time on them. Does that make sense? Are you guys understanding? So some people get freaked out because they're like, but I don't only want to work with this kind of market. I want to work with all kinds of people. Cool, you will. And in fact, by marketing and networking to one kind of person, you will actually end up working with a very broad, diverse group of people. And I think that that's really important. See, right. So after Becky embraced this, after Becky was able to form this connection, she really connected with mothers who had just transitioned to corporate America. They knew Becky understood them, their specific problems. That coming back to corporate America after being on maternity leave for years, with their kids, stay at home for years, was very different than a woman in corporate America who had been there the whole time, or very different than someone graduating from college, or very different than somebody getting a promotion. When they knew that Becky understood them, right, and their specific worries, like they really resonated with her. What happened, I wrote down her results, right? In 8 months, Becky was able to book out her entire coaching practice. I'm getting like a pop-up on my computer that's like, install this. She was able in 8 months to book out her coaching practice. She had 5 people on a waiting list who paid a deposit waiting to work with her. They just wanted to wait to work with her. And she was selected for 2 breakout sessions at this National Health and Wellness Conference. And she landed a contract at a corporation in order to facilitate like health and wellness training for this company. Right? So my question to you is, are you really talking to your target market? Like, are you really in a real way forming this connection that allows them to understand that you know them better than you know anybody else? And that means really getting into who they are, right? So a couple of questions to ask yourself, right? Is it like everyone likes you? Are you trying to make sure everybody likes you? If no one's disagreeing with what you're saying, chances are you're being super generic, right? If no one goes, no, that's not true, I don't believe that, right? You're probably being too generic. Like I can tell you that my ex-client who believes that you're only eating healthy if 80% of your foods contain alkaline and that you're not really drinking water unless you're drinking alkaline water. There are people who were like, I don't believe that. that's not correct. Like, no way. So if no one is disagreeing with what you're saying, if everyone likes you, if you're not making somebody angry enough to kind of dispute you, you're not standing for anything in your business, right? And if you're not standing for anything, you're being really generic and you're not emotionally connecting with anybody. I'm not saying you have to go out and market and make everybody mad. Okay. I'm not saying that. Rita's not telling you to go and be controversial and like stir the pot and make everybody mad. But I am saying you have to be okay speaking to the needs of a subset of the types of people that you want to work with in order to really flow and work into your business, right? So that is exactly like how you do it. The good way is, number one, what is your point of view? What do you believe in your industry that like nobody else will talk about or nobody else will believe? Or you'd be like, I did. So some of the best ways are to listen to other people in your industry and go, I disagree with that, or I agree with that, or like, no, I don't believe that. It's really more, this makes me mad. Like, there's another coach who does sales coaching, and when I catch her stuff sometimes, it makes me so mad because I hate that she uses like hard sales language, right? Like I was talking about this last week, like shove your prospects into the funnel. I'm like, oh God, I hate that. Or like, they need to drip down your funnel into like, I hate all of that. It's like, it's people, it's relationships. There's like a journey, there are connections, right? But every time I hear something that makes me mad, that's a good indicator of what my point of view is in my industry and what I believe, right? So start listening to other people in your industry and in your field. And when you disagree with something, when you're getting mad about something, like, go, I need to share why that makes me angry. Like, I need to share why I disagree with that. I need to share why I don't think that that's the right way to do it, right? That's one way that you can really start speaking to the people that you're going to resonate with the most. The other is ask yourself, who do I really want to work with? Sure, I might be able to help all people, but if I could just, here's the thing. You can't take all the people, right? Like, there are only so many hours in a week and so many ways that you can work with people, even leveraging and scaling your company, right? There are only so many things that you can do. And so you can't take all the business. Other business has to go other places, right? There's an abundance of clients, there's an abundance of money. All of this stuff has to go other places, right? So you don't even have time to take everybody. So you don't want everybody to want to hire you. Like, you want people to leave, right? And so the idea will be, okay, if I could only pick, maybe you can only take 10 clients at one time or whatever it is, who would I fill my practice with? Like, who would my favorite people be? If you could fill your business with only your favorite kinds of clients and customers, or your favorite products to talk about, or your favorite whatever, why wouldn't you? Right? So that's a good place to start. Say, maybe this is who I need. Who do I want to help the most? Who do I want to impact the most? Like, that's a great place to start. And then what, like, just like Becky did, what is different about this kind of person versus the other kind of people I can help? What are their specific challenges? What is their day like, right? Like, I can tell you this, if you're so Patty, let's stick with you. If you're marketing to podcasters, right? But let's say that you're marketing to podcasters who they have businesses. So for everybody who doesn't know, Patty helps entrepreneurs who have podcasts as part of their business model to build an audience and a community around their podcast, right? So they can get more clients. And this is not what Patty does. So I'm just using Patty as an example. So I don't want anybody to think that these are the kinds of people Patty helps, because I'm making this all up, okay? But let's say that Patty only worked with entrepreneurs who have clients who are mothers, okay? So maybe it's like a productivity coach for moms, or a business coach for entrepreneurs who are mothers, right? Let's say that whatever podcast there was, right, that if the audience was mothers, that the podcast would be Patty's client, right? So that's who she helps, right? She has to really be thinking about like how the audience of her clients like consume content, right? She can go, hey, like, your audience are moms, right? The moms aren't sitting down in front of a computer or a journal able to write notes or take down notes as you're talking on a podcast. Like, they're nursing their baby, or they're at a park, or they're whatever. So the way that Patty would advise her clients to like grow that podcast and grow that community would be very different, right, than she might advise somebody else. So like, really going narrow and knowing helps you really speak in a powerful way. How many of you are scared to narrow your market? I would love to, on replay, tell me if that's true. Say, I really resist it. I really fight it. Like, I get it, because I used to too, right? Like I was sharing that with you, I used to too. So how many of you resist? How many of you fight it? I would really love to know. How many of you have embraced it, and has there been a change? Or how many of you are somewhere in the middle? Like you resisted it, but you know you need to do it, but you're not exactly sure how to speak to the person that you're seeing in your head, right? Or how to share this point of view that you have, or how to tap into or uncover your point of view that you have. So I want to know that too. Vicky just said, I fight it with 2 exclamation points. So Vicky, I would love to know why, right? Oftentimes when people fight it, it's because it's rooted in scarcity, right? Because they're like, I want to get all the clients. I want to get, so why wouldn't you want to get all the potential business, right? But then the reality, when you look at the evidence is, but by trying to get all the business, I'm really getting little to no business. And it could be a lot more powerful, right? Like think about a general practitioner versus a specialist, right? A general practitioner versus a specialist. Like general practitioners know a little bit of everything. And yes, you get clients and people flow in, right? But like a specialist, right, that goes really narrow and can speak to one person with one kind of like, it's like almost with ease, right, that these people flow in and they can serve them in a more powerful and impactful way because they know a lot about a little, right? Vicky says, well, I guess I'm in the middle. I think that's Patty. Patty also says, I fight it. Yeah, why? Why are you fighting it, right? Like, if you really say, this is my favorite, I promise you, other people will come. Other people will come. So if this is something you struggle with, let me know. And also make sure you're registered for my free. So on the week of September 14th, I'm doing a free 5-part live stream. And it's called the 5 most important things that I do in my business and how you can put them into action immediately. And I'm going to go deeper into this area on that 5-part live stream series. So register. The link is up in the post. So go ahead, register for the live stream series. Get your name. They're going to be prize. You all know me. They're going to be prizes. They're going to be giveaways. They're going to be all kinds of things. But you have to be registered to win. So go ahead and get registered. No, we're going to dig into this deeper the week of September 14th if this is something that you struggle with. But I would love to know why. And I can tell you that most of the time that people tell me why they struggle with it, it's because it's rooted in scarcity in some kind of way. Well, if I alienate these people, then what if they're not the right ones? And what if they don't want to hire me? And what if I don't make money? And what if? So I need to be open and available to all money to come in, right? And so I'm not going to alienate by like going narrow or resonating. But then they're like, why can't I get clients on repeat? Why aren't clients just flowing in? Why is it always a hustle and a struggle to get clients? Why does it? Because you're so scared of alienating, and so you might still be getting clients, and it feels like it's because you're keeping everything open. But what you don't realize is you're actually hurting your business and not getting as much as you can because you're not speaking to somebody that makes them go, she knows me, right? Like as a coach, as an entrepreneur who builds her business on the internet, right? I hire people to help me who understand that. I don't just want to hire any kind of business coach. I want to hire a business coach that like knows what it's like to have worked in corporate America, be running your own business, be doing it through the internet for the most part, be a coach, have clients, like do all of this. Like the more that that person can speak to me, the more that I know that I want them versus somebody else, right? The more that somebody knows, like even if you're selling a product, like you might just be selling mascara or something like that, right? Makeup, something like that. But even though your makeup could work on every face and every woman, if you're telling me, like right now, I just turned 44, right? So I turned 44 on Friday. If you're telling me about how my skin changes in my 40s, and if you're talking a lot about like what it's like to be 40 with like your makeup and skin, because I was posting the other day that my makeup is like a hot disaster now that my skin has changed, right? The more that you're talking about knowing me, you know, the woman in her 40s who's transitioning in age and like stage of life and is having like all of these issues with makeup and like, you know, is having these issues with skin. Like I'm going to pay attention to you more than someone who's just marketing to women in general or men and women and this and that. Because I'm going to feel like you know me and you're a specialist in me, right? If you, again, because I used to, for a hot second, I sold Unique makeup. God, that's so long ago. No, I never really sold it. I just wanted it for myself. But like the mascara, right, was like lengthening mascara. Well, there are different kinds of people that wanted that for different reasons, right? Maybe you're somebody who had just come through cancer treatments and you had lost your hair, and like this makeup would help like you feel self-confidence and really feel good. Maybe it was more like you were an influencer, you just want to look good on video, or maybe like if you know the reasons of the motivations and the challenges and the frustrations of the specific person, the more you can speak to it. If you're trying to speak to all of them, it's like, yeah, that's a nice mascara, you'll look pretty, cool. all right. You're not standing out. You're not differentiating. You're not making me say she knows me and I need that mascara because she gets me and why I need it. Right? Thank you for sharing that, Patty. Patty said it's scarcity, right? I would challenge you for just 2 weeks, a month, speak to one kind of person. So like Patty, podcasters, like helping entrepreneurs, right? Sure, that's kind of narrow, but that's a broad narrow. So you narrowed it more by saying, I help podcasters. I help entrepreneurs who have a podcast. Cool. That is also kind of narrow, right? That's narrow. It's also broad. So what I'd love for you to do is like see if you can narrow that even more. Is there a certain kind of podcaster, like a podcaster who caters to a certain demographic, a podcaster who has a different kind of market, a podcaster who, right? Or if not, if you're like, no, I feel pretty good about just narrowing to entrepreneurs with a podcast who are using a podcast to grow their business. Okay, cool. Then how can we make you stand out with your point of view in the industry? And that means like starting to share some of the stuff you said, right? Like I believe that, I truly believe that, I know that it, I am 100% that, right? So I want you to share more and more of that. So anyway, when you express your opinion, you express your point of view about your industry, you will alienate, right? You will alienate potential clients and customers, but you are going to reach more of the kind you really want to work with, more of the people you want to work with, because bigger is not better when it comes to great business. Targeted is. Oh, Patty, I love that. Patty said life coaches and mindset coaches. Done. Right? So you could say that. You could say, hey, I want to work with life coaches and mindset coaches who have a podcast, and you're using that podcast to build their business. Like done. Like I would love to challenge you for a month to only put out content that is relevant to them. Right? But even if it's like, well, is it life coaches who are only building their business on the internet? Do they have an in-person component, right? You see how even more that you add more to it, you'll be able to speak to them. But for that, that's perfect. Let's start there, right? And also really dig into that point of view. So be clear on your values, be clear on your vision, right? When you're clear on your values and you're clear on your vision, it makes it really easy to know what you stand for and like where you're going in your business. So like figure out your core values, right? What are 3 core values that are important to you in your business? Like for me, it's community, right? It's integrity / congruence. So we'll say congruence, integrity, community, right? And personal accountability / action, right? So those are the lenses by which I can talk to people and resonate with them. But if you're ready to do this, if you're ready to get crystal clear on your audience, turn them into paying clients, nail your sales strategy, grow your audience, identify all the actions that are actually going to make this happen, make sure you're registered for my free 5-part live stream that's happening on September 14th. Besides, you can win all kinds of prizes that everybody knows. It's almost Power Sheets time, so you know what kinds of prizes will be given out, right? So, so go ahead and register. Did this help? Did this give you some clarity? Did this give you something to think about? I would love to know, like, what are you walking away from this live stream with? Do you see how you might be the bottleneck to the flow that you want? Because you're like, well, if I cast this wide net and try to reach everybody, then I should have so much money and so much business, right? Because I'm not like trying to eliminate any potential possibility, right? The truth is, if you stop casting that wide net and you just go deeper instead of wider, that is where that's where it's like what is that? The oil? I don't know, in Texas, right? Goes up through the oil, like spouts out, right? Like it's like, that's how you're going to be in your business, right? If you just go deeper and not wider. So that's what I want you to really think about, because again, it's like your brain. It's like, well, sure, by going wide and trying to help all the people do all the things and sell to all the people and do all of it, right? Now I'm going to have more money than if I just tried to sell over here. But like, it's scattered. You don't know why. You're frustrated. It's because you're not checking off the boxes of all the things you need to really resonate and build that. We all know this phrase, know, like, and trust, right? That's part of the customer journey cycle. Well, for them to know you're credible, that you're an expert, that you know their problems and that you can solve it, you have to get this detail. You have to get this narrow, right? You just have to do this. And so it's a matter of how, right? That might be the question. I can help you with that, right? The how piece. But there's not a doubt that you really need to be able to speak in this way, right? That's what allows you to go deep. And when you go deep, you're going to get a lot more results and things are just going to start flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing. So, Patty says, I'm thinking about reaching moms that are mindset and life coaches. That could be really cool too. Or maybe mindset and life coaches who work with moms, right? That might be cool too. So we can talk about that, Patty. And we'll definitely talk about it on the September 14th live stream series for that week, okay? So guys, how many of you are registering for that free live stream series? Yes, no, tell me, let me know, put it in the comments, and I'll see you there. Catch me next week on Wednesday at 9 a.m. for another live, as I do every Wednesday at 9. And then the week of the 14th, I'll be going live every single day to bring you all of this great information, all of this great fun, all of these great contests. And I would love to know what your takeaway was from today. Have a good rest of the week, everybody. And yeah, Patty, we'll talk about it that week, okay? All right, have a good rest of the week, everybody. And I will talk to you next week. Take care. Bye.